Hello, greetings to you all. Welcome to Grade 8 Tutorials. My name is Afari Ernest, and today we are going to solve a practice set question under statistics. And so let's begin with our question. The first question says, which of the following techniques is an analysis of the relationship between two variables to help provide the prediction mechanism? And so the first, we have standard error, correlation, regression, hypothesis, testing. And so these four options, which one help in prediction mechanism? And so we know correlation deals with the relationship, and regression deals with the causal. So we want to predict the relationship that exists between two variables. And so for the first question, we will go for option C as our answer. Okay, so question 1, we will go for C as our answer. And so question 2, which of the following are types of correlation? We have positive and negative, we have simple, partial and multiple, linear and non-linear, we have all of the above. And so the types of correlation, we have positive correlation, negative correlation, and the rest. And so this one, for question 2, you will choose A as our answer. And let's move on to question 3, which says, out of 100 numbers, 20 were false, right? And so out of 100 numbers, that is question 3, out of 100 numbers, so it means our total number is 100, and we had 20 of them to be what? False, right? And also 40 were fives, right? So 40 were fives, and 30 were 6, 30 were 6, right? And so, and the remainder were sevens. And so they said the total number is 100, and you have 20, you have 40, you have 30. So you have to add this, right, to get what, and subtract this from 100 to get the remaining. So 20 plus 40 is 60, plus 30 is what? 90, right? So when you subtract 90 from 100, what do you get? You have 10 remaining. So the rest, or the remainder, were what? Sevens, right? Okay. And so in this case, we are supposed to find what? The mean of the numbers, right? We are supposed to find the mean of the numbers. And so this is very simple. We know the total number is 100, and how do you calculate for mean? Our mean is equal to our summation fx over what? Summation f. I hope you get that. Yes. And so 20 were false, and so these are the frequencies, and you can classify this as what? Your x values. So maybe if you want to present this on a table, you say x, then here your frequency, and so your x, you have what? 4, and its corresponding frequency is 20. 5, they had what? 30, sorry, 5, 40, right? And 6, 30, 7, what? 10, right? So these are your frequencies, and from the formula you are supposed to get what? Summation fx. So you have to create your fx column here. Oh, come on. Yeah, so this is how it's going to be. So your f times x, so 4 times 20 will give you what? 80 here. 5 times 40 will give you what? 200. 6 times 30 will give you what? 180. And 7 times 10 will give you what? 70, right? And so when you add the following, you have 80 plus 200 plus 180 plus 70, right? So you have 530 as your summation fx. So 530, and so you add all the frequencies too, because from the formula you have what? Summation f. You are done with the fx, so you come to summation f. So summation f equals, when you add all this, you have what? 100. And so now your answer becomes what? 530 over 100. And so this one will give you 5.30. And so from the options, we have B as our final answer, right? And so for question 3, we will go for B as our final answer. Now let's move on to question 4. Question 4, or this one for question 3, if you just want to do it straightforward without drawing the table, let me write all. So this one, you just multiply this by this, right? Multiply this by this, this by this, this by this, and you divide everything by what? 100. You get it straightforward, other than presenting it on a table to waste time, right? So this is just to give you some understanding. That is why I presented it on the table. But for examination sake, after analyzing or drawing what this conclusion, you just multiply 20 by the 4, 40 by 5, 30 by 6, 10 by what? 7. Okay, and so let's move on to question 4. Statistics was introduced first used by Professor Gottfried Aschenwald in the year, and so statistics was introduced first in the year what? 1770. That is option what? A. Okay. All right, then let's move to question 5. That is, which of the following is not a phase of statistical investigation? And so we know for statistical investigation, we first need to what? Collect data, right? And after collecting the data, what do? We classify the data. Do you get it? And after classifying the data, we present the data. And so for a table like this, we collected what? The data, that is 20 were false, 40 were 5. We collected the data. After collecting the data, we presented it in this what? We classified them in this format and presented them on the table. Do you get it? So for question 5, you see that 1, A is collection of data, B exploration of data, C presentation of data, and D classifying of what? Data. And so the correct answer for question 5 is B, that is exploration of what? Data. Let's move on to question 6. Dash is another name for inductive statistics. And so for inductive statistics, we know you are trying to what? Induce something from what? The population. I hope you get that. And so if you are inducing something from the population, that is when you are making what? Inferences or references. Do you get it? And so in this case, inductive statistics is the same as what? Inferential statistics. That is option A. So question 6, we go for A. And question 7, which of the following variables is discrete? Right? And so we know for discrete and continuous variable, there are all types of what? Variables, but when it comes to continuous variable, that is when it takes what? Decimals, right? So it normally talks about what? Let's say the length of a rod, because the length of a rod can be what? 5.6 centimeters. Do you get it? Then when you are talking about time of a journey, it can also take what? Decimal. When you are talking about masses of cloth, it can also take what? Decimal. But when you are talking about number of oranges in a basket, you are talking about what? Whole numbers. I hope you get it. And so discrete variable talks about whole numbers. Any given data that is in the form of what? Whole numbers, that is a discrete variable. But if it is in let's say decimals, that is what? Continuous variable. And so for question 7, we will choose option C as our final answer. So let's move on to question 8, which says a parameter is a quantity calculated from the observation in a. So for parameter, it is calculated from the observation in a what? Population. I hope you get that. So for question 8, the correct answer for question 8 is what? A. That is what? Population. And so we say question 8 is A. That is population. Then question 9. Measuring temperature can be most accurately classified under which level of measurement? And so on the level of measurement, we have nominal, we have ordinal, we have interval, we have what? Ratio, right? And so for temperature can be classified under what? Interval level of what? Measurement. I hope you get that. And so for question 9, we will choose option C as our final answer. right? Then we move on to question 10. So for question 10, we say the variable x is represented by the series 3 1 4 5 3 3. So we have 3 1 4 5 3 3. Okay, yeah, so these are the data was given, right? And so we are to use this information provided to answer question 10 to 12, right? So we are using it to answer 3 questions. Now for question 10, that is the first question that we are going to use this data. And so it says find the value of summation s squared for the series. So we are to calculate for summation s squared for the series. Okay, so when you look at this data, you will see we have, these are all values of what? X, right? So this is x, 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 right? Okay, so this is what? Summation. And anytime a formula is given, I always tell my students they should start from what? Right to left. Do you get it? And so you start from this side to this side. So it means you have to calculate for what? The square of all the x values. After that, you sum them. I hope you get that. And so that is the interpretation of the formula. You squared all the values of x. After squaring them, you sum them, right? And so for the first one, we are going to say 3 squared plus 1 squared plus 4 squared plus 5 squared plus 3 squared plus 3 squared. Do you get it? So after doing this, then we are going to sum everything. Do you get it? So here we are getting what? 9 plus 1 plus 4 squared is 16 plus 5 squared is 25 plus 3 squared is what? 9. Another 3 squared is not 9. And so we add them. 9 plus 1 plus 16 plus 25 plus 9 plus 9. Okay, so we have what? 69 as our final answer. And so let's look through the options. Do we have 69? So we have 69 as option what? C. So for question 10, our correct answer is what? Option C. I hope you get it. Okay, so let's move on to question 11. Find the value of summation x all squared, right? And so here we are going to find what? Summation of x all squared. And so this one too, you start from what? The left hand side, but you could see that we have what? Brackets. So in mathematics we deal with what? Bracket first. And so it means we have to sum all the values of x. After that we squared what? The final answer. And so here these are the values of what? X. And so we are going to sum everything. And so we have what? 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 5 plus 3 plus another 3. So you sum them, you have 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3, right? So you have 19, and so you put your 19 in a bracket. So let's bring our square here. So your 19 in a bracket, then you bring the square, right? So there is the summation of the x, and you bring the square. So it means you have to square what? The 19, and so we press on square, and our final answer is what? 361. You get it? So for question 11, our correct answer is option what? A, right? That is option A. That is question 11. Okay, so let's move on to question 12. Question 12, it says we should calculate the what? Median of the series. So we are to calculate the median of the series. And when you want to calculate the median of any data, or specifically on group data, you need to rearrange them in what? Ascending order. That is from the lowest to the highest before you calculate for the median. And so the least number is 1. You move towards 3, 3, another 3, then 4 and 5. So this is in ascending order. So if you want to calculate for the median, this first one must cancel the last one, right? And this second one must cancel the last but one. Do you get it? And so now what are the two values you have? That is 3 and 3. So this one cancel out this one also cancel out this, and so you have what, two numbers here. So you calculate for the mean of them, that is, you sum them and you divide them by what, 2. And so here you have what, 6 divided by 2 is what, 3. And so for question 12, our correct answer is what, B, right? So B. We are done with question 12. Now let's move on to question 13. So for question 13, we have been given a what, a data to answer question 13 to 18, right? And so let's look at the question, and we know how best. Okay, so for question, okay, so the number of days a group of factory workers were absent in 2021 is given as follows. Right, so we have this data, and they said the factory want to create a grouped frequency distribution for this data. Use this information to answer question 13 to 18, right? And so for the first question, question 13, they said how many classes should be grouped frequency distribution ideally what have. Do you get it? So we are going to calculate for the number of classes for the data what given, and so that is question what, 13, right? And so for question 13, how do you calculate for number of classes? That is when you use what, Sturge's rule. Sturge's rule. And what does the Sturge's rule says? That is 1 plus 3.322 log n, right? Or you can say log base 10 n, right? So your n, you count the number of data given, right? So you have, for the vertical side you have 1 2 3, and for the horizontal side you have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So in all you have what, 30 numbers. So your n equals what, 30, right? And so let's calculate for the number of classes. We have 1 plus 3.322 log 30, right? Okay, so here we are going to put everything on the calculator. That is 1 plus 3.322 log 30, right? What are we getting? We have 5.906, 5.907, sorry. So we have 5.907. And for Sturge's rule, if you want to calculate for the number of classes, here we say if after the decimal the number is from 5 to 9, we add 1 to the whole number. Do you get it? So here we round it off. I hope you get it. And so approximately this is going to be what, 6, right? So that is what we mean. Then it means question 13, our final answer is 6, and so 6 is option C, right? So question 13 we have C. Then let's move on to question 14. Question 14 says what would the weight of each of the classes in the group frequency distribution be? Okay, so we are going to calculate for the class weight or the class size. So the weight is the same as the size. Okay, so question 14, it is what, your maximum value minus minimum value, and you divide everything by what, your number of classes, your number of classes. And so you check from the distribution your maximum value, right? And so from the distribution, what's your maximum value? I think your maximum value here is what, 46, right? And the minimum value is what, 0. Okay, so the maximum value here is 46 and the minimum value is 0, and you divide it by what? The number of classes, that is what? 6. Okay, yes. And so this will give you 46 over 6, and 46 over 6 will give you what? 7.67, right? So you have 7.67 as your answer. And 7.67, under this rule, we say for calculating what? The class width or the class size, if you get a decimal, irrespective of the decimal that you get, you still have to round it up. Do you get it? So here we do round off. Do you get it? Round off means if the number is from 5 to 9, you add 1 to the whole number. But round up means irrespective of the decimal, if the number, provided you have a decimal, you just add 1 to what? 7 to get what? 8. I hope you get it. And so here we have what? 8 as what? Our class width. And so our final answer here is what? Also C, right? So we are done with question 14. Now we move on to question 15, which says what are the class limits for the second class? So question 15. So the question 15 is asking for what? The class limits for the second class. It means we have to build what? The table, and we find for what? The class limit of the second class. I hope you get that. And so since we have the number of classes and we have our class width, we can construct our frequency distribution table. And so we say the class limits here, right? So the number of classes, we have 6. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So our number of classes, we have 6. And so what's the minimum value? 0. And you know, when you put your 0 here, you add what? The class width, which is 8. You add it to 0, but it will come down here to get what? 8, right? And so you ask yourself, which number comes before 8? That is 7, right? So provided you get these 3 numbers, you are done. The rest, you are just going to add what? The class width throughout, so you get to the set class. So you do same for both sides. So here you add what? 8 to this 7 to get what? 15, right? Yes. And you add 8 to this one to get 16. You add another 8, you get what? 24. Another 8, you get what? 32, right? 32. Then another 8 to 40, right? Okay. So here you are going to get 23, 31, 39, and 47. Okay, so these are the class what? Limits of this data. And so let's check out for the frequency. Okay, so for the frequency of the first one, which is 0 to 7, from the data we can see from 0 to 7 we have 1 2 3 4 0 to 7, that is we have 16, right? So we have 16 for the first one. For the frequency, we have 16 here, and we have what? 9. We have 0 0 4, and we have 1 here, right? So you can look through yourself and also verify. Okay, all right. So the question says we should what? Find for the class what? Limit for the second class. And so this is the first class, this is the second class, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, right? So this is the second class, and the class limit for the second class is what? 8 and what? 15, right? And so for question 15, we can say our answer is what? 8 and 15. That is option A. Okay, so we are done with question 15. We move on to question 16. What is the upper class boundary of the fifth class? And so here we are going to calculate for what? Class boundaries. Class boundaries. Right? And so for class boundaries, you need to get your boundary first. How do you get the boundary? That is what? The diagonal difference between what this, right, divided by 2. So 8 minus 7 will give you 1. You divide it by 2 to get what? 0.5, right? So it is just like 8 minus 7 divided by 2. So you have 1 over 2 giving you 0.5. So that is the boundary. You are going to subtract 0.5 from here and you add it to what? This number. I hope you get it. Yeah, so that is what we are going to do. So when you subtract 0.5 from here, you get negative 0.5 to 7.5. I hope you get that. Then you get 7.5 to 15.5. And this 15.5 will come down here. So 15.5 to 23.5. And this one will come down here. 23.5 to 31.5. And you have 31.5 to 39.5, and you have 39.5 to 47.5. And so these are our class boundaries. We are done with the class boundaries. And so let's move on. The question says, what is the upper class boundary of the fifth class? So what is the fifth class? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the fifth class. And what is the upper class boundary? So this is the lower class boundary of the fifth class, upper class boundary. And so for question 16, our answer is what? 39.5. And 39.5 is option B. Right? Okay. So we move on to question number 17, which says how many classes will have a frequency of 0, right? So that is question number 17. How many classes will have a frequency of 0? So you check from your frequency how many classes. That is 1, 2, right? So the answer is 2. And from question 17, that is option what? C. Okay, then we move on to 18. Question 18 says, what is the cumulative frequency of the fourth class? What is the cumulative frequency of the fourth class? And so it means we have to create what? Cumulative frequency, right? So we call it cumulative frequency. And so in an examination, because this question is demanding or asking you to calculate for only one cumulative frequency, you can simply do it here without even creating a column. Do you get it? And so here we are going to calculate for cumulative frequencies, but for examination's sake, in order to save time, you can add this one to this one, the answer to this one, then the answer to what? This one. So this is the fourth class. So if you add everything to the fourth class, that is the cumulative frequency, other than creating a table for cumulative frequency, unless the question will ask you to use cumulative frequency again. Other than that, you can cumulate the frequency straightforward and go your way than creating what? A table. Do you get it? Okay, so here we are going to cumulate the frequencies. The first one is what? 16. So we add this 9 to the 16 to get what? 25, right? So we have 9 plus 16, that is 25. Here we have 25. So 25 plus 0 will give you 25, plus another 0 will give you 25, plus 4 will give you what? 29, plus 1 will give you what? 30, right? And so for the cumulative frequency of the fourth class, we have what? 25. And so that is question 18, and the correct answer is option C, right? And so we move on to question 19. Question 19. And so question 19, it says scores of a group of students in a business statistics quiz is given as, so we have what, 16, 19, x, 15, 25, and what, 25 and 20. Okay, the mean score was found to be 20, so the mean was 20. So we should calculate for what, x, how to get it. And so here it's very simple. You know the formula for calculating mean, that is your mean equals summation x. There is an ungroup data, so there is no need for a frequency, over summation, sorry, over n, right, over n. Okay, so n refers to the number of observations. Do you get it? Mean is already given as what, 20, and so it means we have to sum everything, divide it by the number of observations, and equate it to what, the 20. So we say 20, that is the mean, because the summation. So here we have what, 16 plus 19 plus x plus 15 plus 25 plus 20, right? So then let me bring the 20 here to make it more simpler. So 20. Then you divide everything by what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 numbers. So that is basically what the formula is talking about. Do you get it? Here, in order to find x, unless you make x the subject, right? So you can do cross multiplication here. Do you get it? And so here, let's sum the numbers here. We have what? 16 plus 19 plus, we jump from x to what, 15 plus 25 plus 20, right? So we have 95. So we can say our 20, that is the mean, is equal to 95 plus the x, right, over 6. We can't add the x to what, the 95, because it's addition, right? So here we are going to do cross multiplication, and so we have 95 plus, there is 1 here, and so this one, the whole of this will multiply the 1, and it still give you the same thing. So 95 plus x equals 20 times 6. I hope you get that. And so 95 plus x equals 120. Alright, there's 95. And so you make x the subject, right? And this 95 will cross the equal sign, so you get 120 minus 95. So your x is equal to 15. 120 minus 95, sorry, 25, right? So you have 25. Your x is equal to 25. So you check from the options. Question 19, the correct answer is what? A. Do you get it? So we move on. That is question 19. We move on to question 20. Question 20, it says we are using the information to answer question what, 20 to 22. Okay, and so for question 20, what does it say? You say that is question, this is okay, this is 19, this is question 20. Okay, after sitting for an end of semester examination, a student scores 78, a student scores 78, 58, and what, 63, right? Yes, in business, mathematics, communication skills, and French, respectively. The courses have been assigned weights of 4, 2, and 3, respectively, right? And so this one has 4 credit hours, this one has what, 2 credit hours, and this one has 3 credit hours. So you should calculate what, 20. You should calculate the weighted average, right? And so for the weighted average, you know your weighted mean is equal to your W1 multiplying your X1, right, plus W2 multiplying X2, like that. then you divide it by W1 plus W2. So that is how to calculate for what? Your weighted average or mean. Do you get it? And so here you have this one multiplying this multiplying this multiplying this. And so we say 78 multiplying 4 plus 58 multiplying 2 plus 63 multiplying 3. Then you divide everything here by the weights. Do you get it? That is the W. So 4 plus 2 plus 3. And so we are going to multiply everything and divide it by the total weight. I hope you get that. And so we have 78 times 4. In an examination, this is how you are supposed to do it. Do you get it? In order to save time, you are not supposed to go through all these steps after writing the formula. In an examination, if you know the formula, you don't even have to write the formula. Do you get it? You just start by solving it. And so when you get here, you put everything on the calculator to generate your final answer. Do you get it? But for more understanding, that is why I am going much into details. And so you have 78 times what? 4. That is the first one. You add it to 58 times 2, right? Plus 63 times 3. Then you divide it by 4 plus 2 plus 3, right? So this is what you are getting. You are getting 68.56, right, as your final answer. And so we check from the options. We have option D as our final answer. We have option D, and so this is equal to option D, right? That is for question number 20. Okay, so we are moving on to the next question. That is question number 21. Question number 21. Okay, and so for question number 21, what is the difference between the student weighted average score and the student arithmetic mean score? So we know this is our weighted average score, and so let's calculate for the arithmetic mean. So that will be for question 21. And so how do you calculate for arithmetic mean score? Now you know these are what the scores, right? 78, 58 and 63 are the scores. So you are going to find the mean of these three scores, right? And so how do you calculate for mean? That is mean equals summation x over n, right? And so here you can say summation x, you have what? 78 plus 58 plus 63. So how many numbers do we have? 1, 2, 3. So you divide the numbers by what? 3. So let's use the calculator. We have 78 plus 58 plus 63. Then you divide it by 3, right? And so this is what you are getting. 66.33. Alright, so 66.33. Okay, so this is the arithmetic mean. Okay, and you have the arithmetic mean and the weighted mean, and you are being asked to calculate for the difference, right? And so the difference, you are going to get what? For the difference, you are going to get 68.56 minus 66.33. And so let's check. 68.56 minus 66.33, right? And you have 2.23. So the final answer, or the difference between them, is 2.23. And 2.23 from question 21 is the option A, right? Option A. So for question 21, we say our final answer is A. Do you get it? Then let's solve for the last part of the question, which says or question 22, which says assuming the student takes an additional course which has been, it says which has been assigned a weight of what, 2, right? And so now these are the scores. You know from here that these are the scores and what they are, what weights, right? And so when we come here, let's rewrite everything again, saying 78 has what, 4 credit hours, 58 has what, 2 credit hours, and 63 has what, 3 credit hours. And now additional course has been introduced, right? And so, and what was the weight of that course? 2. The score for that particular course was not given, right? And so we represent that by what, x, but the weight is what, 2. I hope you get that. And we were given what, the weighted mean. We were given the weighted mean. The weighted mean. You were given the weighted mean to be what, 70, right? Obtain a weighted score of, so 70. Okay, so now we are going to calculate for what, x, right, or the score. Okay, we are going to use the same approach. We are going to use the same approach, the method we used here, right? But this time around, we are not going to use what, or we are not going to calculate arithmetic mean, but rather what, weighted mean. Okay, so we say for the weighted mean, it is equal to your W1 multiplying your X1 plus W2 multiplying X2 plus, like that. I hope you get it. Then you divide it by W1 plus W2. You get it? And so here we are going to multiply each what x value by its what weight. And so we have 78 by 4 plus 58 by 2 plus 63 by 3, right, plus this time around x by 2, and we divide everything here by the weights, that is 4 plus, this is what the weighted mean, and it was given as 70, sorry. So 4 plus what, 2 plus 3 plus what, 2. Do you get it? So let's perform our calculations. We have what, 70 equals, now everything here will give you, I mean 1 2 3, because they have what, no variable. And so 78 multiplying 4 plus 58 multiplying 2 plus 63 multiplying 3 plus what, sorry, this is the x, so that one will be treated differently. So that is 617 plus x multiplying 2 will give you what, 2x, right? And you divide everything here by 4 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2, so that is 11. And so here we are going to do cross multiplication. There is 1 here, and so it is going to multiply everything here. So 617 times 1 will give you 617 plus 2x times 1 will give you 2x. So we are done with this part, right? So cross multiplication. And so this 70 will also multiply the 11 here, so equal to 770. I hope you get that. And so we are going to group like terms, and we say 2x is equal to 770 minus 617. So 2x equals 770 minus 617 will give you 153, and you divide everything by what, 2. Now your x is equal to, you divide it by 2, that is 76.5, right? So you have 76.5, and from the options 76.5 76.50, right? So 76.5450 is the same. That is option B. So we can say question number 22 is what? This question number 22, and so that is option B, right? So it has option what? B. And so there's the first part of our practice set question. The next time we meet, we are going to continue with the practice set question. Okay, thank you very much. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. You like our video, and also you recommend us at the comment section. Thank you very much, and see you again.